It's in the clouds, above the cloud.
Yeah, no, it's over
Oh,
there.
there
We'll
it is,
just,
I see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of let it pass.
They're coming
because
up.
it will come up on the
Right.
microphone.
Oh, will it?
So yeah, no, but that's grand. We've plenty of time. It's
Right,
all
okay.
fine. We'll just let it go off up the coast or wherever it's actually
Going
up
to Dublin it is.
Is it?
Mm.
Off to Arnott's or maybe Brown Thomas's.
I don't think so, the airport probably.
So today is the 29th of July 2024. I'm here in Wicklow and we are interviewing Mrs Carmel Alcorn, who is the daughter of the midwife for the project with iCAN, and the midwife was Nurse Mary Merriman Leonard.
Yeah.
We're going to start at the beginning about where Nurse Leonard was born and have a nice conversation about all the different things you know about your mum.
Mm.
So can I ask you, where was Nurse Leonard born?
She was born in Ashford, in Killisky in Ashford.
Okay, and do you know what year that might have been? Or 1904 is what we found. Do you think that's about
1904.
1904, which is good. And how many were in her family?
She had a sister Julia. I don't know whether Julia or her were the youngest. They were around the same age.
Okay,
Right.
Irish twins.
Yeah.
They might have been, you know.
I only met my grandmother a couple of times.
Okay.
You know. Now my mother used to go out to her and look after her, you know, when she got old.
Okay.
And then Julia, her sister, put her mother into a nursing home where she died when she, because they were working, they couldn't look after her, you know.
Full time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that would have been. And yeah, where did Nurse Leonard go to school? Do you know, when she was in primary school?
Yeah, she went
Is that Nuns?
Nuns Cross.
Brilliant. That's out in Ashford as
Yeah.
well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then her secondary school. Do you know
She
where?
didn't have secondary school. She
Oh,
finished
no.
at 12.
And she went working with.
And she went as a maid for a doctor in Wicklow.
That was that Dr. Aubrey O'Connor.
I don't know, I think so.
Yeah, I have that. I
You
think-
have that, right.
Yeah, that was
okay.
written somewhere. So and then, what age was she when she started training? I think she was about 18.
Roughly, I suppose she might be 30
Mm,
or either younger.
Yeah,
in
think
20s
about-
possibly.
there was an article that we found, and it said that she saved the money from when she went working for the doctor to pay for her
For her, yeah.
training at
that's
around
right, yeah.
around 18.
18, was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
I don't
that's
know.
that's all. I mean, I didn't write this. It was,
No.
it was in the papers.
Okay,
Yeah,
well then
so-
that must be
So we
right.
must. Well,
Right, okay.
yeah. So that's the bit of information we
I
have
never
about
asked
that.
her anything like that, you know.
About yeah, and it also says, you'd be very proud of her. It also says that she finished second highest in her class in her
Right.
exams.
Yeah, right.
So do you know?
She was fairly bright, yeah.
Yeah, no, she was.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we know where she went after she'd finished training?
She worked, I told you, she worked for a nurse who had a nursing home on the Mall.
Uh huh.
But I think she was kind of just, I don't know whether she was cooking or what she was doing, or whether she was kind of helping her or something. I don't really know. But she left hers and she went to the Rotunda Hospital to train
Right.
as a nurse.
Okay, and then after she finished in the
And
Rotunda,
she came home and she was working in the same nursing home after she trained,
Right.
and then she met my father. Well, she knew him before,
Okay.
and there's a funny story, but I don't think I'll tell you.
Oh, go on.
No.
Okay.
Well, she used to go to the tech, and she was learning how to cook in the tech,
All
you
right.
know, domestic thing. And now my aunt told me this, and she had made an apple tart, right? And she was coming home and she met my father, happened to meet him on the street, and he grabbed the apple tart and ran away with it. Well, he was like that. He had a terrible sense of humour.
So, oh no, bless him. So yeah, so you were just saying about the Prague nursing home.
Yeah.
So how did that start out?
Well, he built that when we were getting married. And then when she left him and went off to train as a nurse.
Right.
Right. She broke it off with him and went off to train at the Rotunda Hospital. And he met somebody else. She lived right across the road there, right? And he was going to marry her. And then she died from TB. And then my mother came back on the scene again.
Right.
And they ended up getting
married. And the house, was that so then?
He built that for them, and when she left, he rented it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was only a 2-bedroom house at the time, with a lean-to kitchen made from like corrugated iron. You know, I remember that George brought, pulled it down, built the kitchen there.
Right, because you're living in that house.
That's where I'm living.
That's right, yeah.
And when she had the nursing home, I remember sleeping in the shed. I had to give up my bed because she'd
have somebody, a client coming in to have a baby.
To have a baby, yeah.
Right. Oh man, oh yeah. And you said she went to America at one point.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, she decided she'd go to Los Angeles. It was, and she was going to bring me with her.
Okay.
And she went off there anyway, and after a few weeks she came home because they wouldn't let her deliver babies. She said they were using me as a maid cleaning up. They wouldn't let her, they wanted to deliver the babies themselves.
Okay,
and she said I went there to deliver babies, not to do housework.
And she was qualified at this point?
And she was qualified, no.
It might have been a different qualification
Could be something like that, I don't know. But she came home.
She came back.
Yeah, and went back to where she was before.
And when did she open the Prague after that? Was it?
Immediately.
She was,
Oh yeah, she was booked out. I remember her sleeping in the bath one night.
Because there were so many women having babies.
Having babies.
Yeah, because it was like her records show that she delivered over 2,080 babies.
I believe that. Well, I remember this stood in my mind. I was working in motor taxi at the time, and we were really busy. But anyway, she woke me up about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and handed me a baby wrapped in the towel. And she said, keep it upright, keep the baby upright, right? And she went off back to the mother and left me with the baby. And then I saw, she came back again and she took the baby. And when I looked out, the ambulance was outside. And she went to Hollow Street with the baby.
Right.
And there was something seriously wrong with the baby. But anyway, about 3 years later, I was in Hopkins, down the town, and I met the mother and the baby, a little boy, a lovely little boy. He survived. She went another time to Hollow Street Hospital and had to bring a patient in there, And when she came out, the ambulance was gone.
And she couldn't get home. What did she do?
She had to go to Bus Iris and get a bus home.
Is that why she eventually decided to get a car?
She had a car all along. She had a car from the time I was a child.
Okay.
Yeah. So how would you get around?
Well,
she had a Ford Prefect. Coleman and Hopkins had a garage down there where the AIB Bank is now.
Right.
Right. And they had a Ford dealership, and she went down to buy a car. And Jack Toner, who was running it for Hopkins's, wouldn't sell it to her. He said, what would you want with a car? Right. When she was riding a bicycle out to Rashford, and she even went to Red Cross. She got on the bus and went to Dublin, to Donnybrook, and she bought a car in Donnybrook and drove it home.
Did she know how to drive?
He brought her around the Donnybrook to teach her how to drive, showed her how to work the gears and how to brakes and all like that.
Like
one lesson.
One lesson.
There and then.
And she drove back?
And she drove back.
Oh, wow.
And I was standing in the kitchen looking out the window, and she coming in it. Now, there wasn't a midwife somewhere near Medcross, but word got around.
And so her area that she would...
out as far as Red Cross.
Out as far as Red Cross.
I remember sitting in the car with her outside. She had delivered the baby the day before, but she went out to her patient. She went out to each one for about 10 days.
To check up on them and
to
the
make
baby.
Sure they were all right.
Yeah.
And some of these people she went out, she attended, were very poor. They were, farmers had there was no European Union then. Like
Okay.
they depended on the nothing to fall back on, only
Right.
what they could when they sold cattle. And there used to be a cattle mark down in the bottom of the hill.
Down Market Square.
No, there was one in the Market Square, but sometimes it was in the ball alley
Okay.
as well. You know,
And they'd have a cattle market there.
cattle mark. Yeah, I was
Right.
in the ball alley. I remember
Right.
not so much the Market Square.
Right.
Or there was some in the Market Square as well. Now, come to
Yeah.
think of it,
Might
yeah,
have been earlier.
Huh?
I think it might have been earlier.
yeah, probably.
I think I've seen
yeah,
photographs of
yeah.
that. And did she go further south from Wicklow? So she went out
Went out as far as Red Cross, down there, British Bay, all over the place.
all over the county.
Well, no,
Not
no,
over
all
the
over Wicklow
mountains.
area.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Within a certain distance, you know.
yeah. And so you're her daughter. So when she was working, who was looking after you? Or did you go? You didn't go
I
with
was in
her?
school, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
And your aunts were.
And my aunt, oh yeah, when she'd have a patient in labour, she'd send me down to my grandaunt's. They lived here.
Okay.
They
And
were
they were
Flynns.
nurses. They were nurses as well, were
No,
they?
no. My grandaunt Jane worked in the courthouse
Okay.
for Wicklow County Council. So did I.
Another tradition. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And Frances, her sister, didn't work anywhere. She looked after the house and did all the housekeeping. This house here,
Okay.
yeah, and the cooking and the cleaning,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, that
yeah.
was her.
And she was supposed to be delicate.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, covered a multitude back then, didn't it?
It
Oh, they're
did,
delicate.
Yeah. She had a heart condition. You know,
Okay.
yeah.
So she was delicate.
But she couldn't go to work. She didn't work. She just looked after the house
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the cats.
Did you meet many of the ladies?
Every one of them.
Every one of them?
Yeah, I used to bring in in their lunch or their dinner or sometimes their breakfast.
Right, so
And,
she.
and I often, you know, if she had 2 or 3 babies, you can't feed 2 or 3 babies at the same
At the
time.
same- yeah.
She didn't want to feed the babies because the mother needed a rest.
Right.
But some of them breastfed.
Okay. Yeah, which would make it easier.
Well, some of them, as I said, some of them weren't well nourished to breastfeed.
Some of the mothers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because
Yeah.
they were quite poor at the time, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, there was a lot of malnourished
There
people
was,
around.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
tough times.
A lot of them
actually.
were farmers' wives, and they were
Farmers.
worn out. They had a child every year,
All right.
you know.
As
there was
well
no
as
pill
work.
then.
Yeah, and working on the farm.
And working on the farm,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that was a tough life.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the medical card came in.
Okay.
That came in about late 50s, I think.
Right.
That changed everything.
Did it?
Yeah,
It
for poorer people, you know.
gave them access to doctors.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was the best thing ever. What was it? Noel Brown brought that in.
Yeah, he brought in a whole mother and baby scheme.
That's right, he did.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't think the Catholic Church was too happy about.
Oh, they
some of
weren't. They
that.
thought it was interfering with the family.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. She adopted Geraldine.
No, not quite.
What was the story?
Geraldine. Let's put it this way. Geraldine's mother got wait now, how did it go? Geraldine's mother was American.
Okay.
Yeah, she came from New York, right, and she married an Irishman, and they came here, and she got tuberculosis,
Oh, bless.
and she was in Newcastle. That was a hospital for them.
Sanatorium.
Yeah. And Geraldine, my mother delivered Geraldine in the Newcastle hospital, and the doctor told her she was going to die,
Right.
and she wouldn't give the baby up for adoption. She refused to give Geraldine up for adoption because she thought she was going to recover. And when the doctor told her she was going to die, she married her father. You know, the child, Geraldine's father. So
Okay.
they'd have rights to his child.
Right.
And my mother volunteered to take Geraldine and look after her.
Kind
and
of fostering her.
Foster her, yeah. I thought Geraldine was my sister, and we slept in the same room, the same cot.
There's a lovely photograph of you here.
That's Geraldine,
Yeah,
yeah.
and yourself.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so
Now,
lovely.
and Geraldine used to come to Wicklow for our holidays every summer when she got her school holidays and stay with us, you know.
Okay.
And like when our father got married, when she was 7, when our father got married and took her, I was devastated.
And where did she go?
She went to Portarlington,
Okay.
and her grandmother, her mother's mother, was from New York and lived in was born and reared in New York. She couldn't come back before when her daughter was in the sanatorium. She couldn't come home because the U-boats were blowing up the shipping.
Okay, that was
So she
during
had to
the
wait till the
Second
war
World-
was over before she could come home.
Right, to meet her
And
granddaughter,
and Miriam, or what do you call them,
Geraldine.
Geraldine lived with us. And when her grandmother came home, she opened up a business in Portarlington. Oh, she was priceless, absolutely priceless. She'd have us in stitches.
Good
Oh,
lady.
she used to say, "Gee whiz." You know the way kids come in and say things to you,
Yeah.
you know? And she'd go, "Gee whiz." She's a big woman, but
Okay.
very nice, yeah. Yeah.
And so,
And Geraldine's father was very posh, you know?
right. And they went off to live in Portarlington.
Yeah, she went off to I was devastated.
Yeah,
Because I thought
nothing-
she was my sister,
Yeah.
my big sister, you know?
And suddenly she was gone.
And suddenly she was gone, yeah.
Yeah. And there
Yeah.
were loads of babies in the house.
And there was babies in the house.
Everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
I know, as a 2,080 babies. Which is
Well, they weren't all in the house,
Not at the same time. No, that would be a bit much.
But
Yeah.
sometimes she'd have, if the mother had a hard time, unless she was breastfeeding, she wouldn't let him feed the baby. She wanted the mother to rest, because that
Right.
was important,
Of course.
you know, to get her
recover.
strength back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I used to feed the babies with her.
Was the Prague the first or the second nursing home
The first.
she had? The first one.
Yeah,
And
no,
then-
she worked for nurse something, I can't remember, on the Mall. There was a nursing home on the top of the Mall.
And then she opened Prague.
Yeah.
And then
my
af-
father built that for them to live in.
Yeah.
And she turned it into a nursing home.
Yeah. And then she moved somewhere on.
Yeah, up to
Dunbar.
Dunbar Road, yeah, because he wouldn't let her build on.
Oh, okay. She needed a bigger.
She wanted to build on to make it bigger. He
Right.
wouldn't let her. Because he didn't want to be living in a nursing home with new babies being screaming.
Yeah.
But she left him then and bought that place up in Dunbar. And she could do what she liked with it.
Okay. And how many bedrooms would have been up in?
Wait now, there was 2 bedrooms. No, one. No, my bedroom was upstairs. There's one below it. That's 2, and there
Right.
was 2 in the front, 4.
Okay, so she went from 2 bedrooms to 4
4
bedrooms.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And all the registers, because Miriam, who's your daughter, who would have been Nurse Leonard's granddaughter,
Yeah.
she's after putting a lovely presentation
right.
together with the
Yeah,
record books.
Right. Yeah.
And so
They were in my attic.
they were in the attic. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, they're such a record of
But
how many
you
babies.
know, every month we had to send in a copy of them to, I don't know who we sent it to.
Probably the health board.
The
or-
health board, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
And-
I remember doing it up for her, you know, the register.
Right. How many babies had been
Yeah,
born?
per,
that-
during the month, yeah.
Yeah, I just love the way that for the Prague nursing home, that it eventually, the records from 1940 to 1975, that it ended up being 661 boys and 661 girls.
Oh, you're joking, an
no,
even number.
this is, yeah, it is. That's a total 50-50 split. When,
And you know what, I used to love the christenings because I always got a bit of cake. Some of them were christened from the nursing home.
Okay,
And my mother put on a spread, you know, for the family.
and so would the priest come in?
Oh no,
And-
the baby go to the church.
Okay.
When they come back,
They'd have the party.
they
at
have
the
a party
Ah.
there. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, there'd be bottles of beer and wine and everything.
many a party.
Yeah, they'd have it there in the nursing home.
Oh, that's lovely that
Yeah.
she would welcome them back.
Yeah,
and-
because like it was a little bit early for the baby to go home. You know what I
Okay,
mean? Yeah.
okay.
Like the baby could be born on Wednesday and it'd be baptized on Sunday.
okay, so
that
they
kind of
were
way.
very close
Yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And what was the average? Like, how long would people stay at the? Was there
10 days.
10 days.
Yeah, up to 10, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes if a woman, she'd keep them a bit longer if she thought they needed it, because
Right.
some of them had big families
Right.
and farmers' wives, which
Right.
had very hard lives.
Yeah.
As I said before, they had very hard lives.
Yeah.
You know.
And to get her rested before she
Yeah,
went home.
yeah, they needed a rest.
Yeah, because there were probably a lot of
and
other
the poor
children.
grandparents used to have to look after the children.
The other 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, that's what they needed, their grandchildren, no, grandmothers.
Yeah, yeah. So what did she do when she retired? Do you know? Was it like, was it a big decision to retire, or she just had reached the
She
end
got
of
the
her...
pension and she could do what she liked.
Okay, and she
Yeah.
decided...
She stayed there, yeah, up there
Right.
in Dunbar.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, and I used to. Then she sold that and she went up. She got one way up Ballinairn,
Okay.
up there.
Right.
But she wasn't able for the hill, so I used to have to go up and, bring her to get her groceries. But that didn't matter. I mean, I went to see her anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I kept an eye on her then
Yeah.
until the end.
Yeah. No, she's spoken of so well. So many people, like,
Yeah.
she's in so
If
many
you want to
people's...
know me, come and live with me.
Yeah, well, you have that inside. The rest of us don't. I mean, it couldn't have been easy, Carmel. It couldn't have been easy with all the babies in the house and all of that.
I didn't
you know.
mind, I
Yeah.
was used to it. I grew up with it. It was
Yeah,
normal.
it was
for me.
normal. Yeah.